Hi, I'm Matthew Begley. I am the owner of Black Diamond Gunworks, and I'm a professional metalsmith with the American Custom Gunmakers Guild. We're going to talk about our new project in the shop today. It's a A.H Fox shotgun. We're going to be completely reshaping the receiver, fitting a second set of barrels, and restocking the gun. Right here, laid out on the bench, we have this A.H Fox that we're going to be doing all this custom work to. The step-by-step, just to kind of introduce the project, is first we disassemble the gun, inspect everything, make sure all the internals are working the way they should, checking for any prior repairs or customizations or changes that might have been made. Next, we anneal the receiver. After that, we're going to fit a second set of barrels. Then we're going to be reshaping the entire receiver. We're going to be building a pattern stock. Then we're going to restock the gun. Then we're going to polish all the metal work. We're going to have some engraving done. Then we'll case color the receiver, blue the barrels, and then there'll be final assembly of the gun. When we talk about reshaping a receiver, that's kind of an uncommon thing right now in the trade, but basically what we're doing is what an action filer would do. So this is the original receiver. This is the shape of the original receiver. It's very bulky. It doesn't have a whole lot of details in it. So when we're reshaping the receiver, all we're doing is adding some details, adding some features into it to make it look a little nicer. We don't really do it to reduce any kind of weight. All we're doing, making it look a little nicer, making it look a little different than everything else that's out on the market, and cleaning up the overall look. So I've got 3 receivers here that have been reshaped. This one's our 12 gauge factory receiver. This one's another 12 gauge receiver. The Fox receivers, they only had 2 different frame sizes. They had a 12 gauge and they had a 20 gauge. They built their 16 gauge guns on a 20 gauge frame. So our 12 gauge frame here, we have 2 fences. We have a nice reshape on the back of the receiver. What I call the receiver flat has a shadow line underneath, and the underbelly of the receiver has some nice curved lines. You see some rebates on the bottom and some rebates on the top. This locks the receiver in, so when you inlet your stock to the receiver, these rebates really help to hold everything together and help to keep that stock from splitting on top. Someone has reshaped the sides here. The safety's been flattened out. The top lever has been dropped down a little bit lower and thinner, and the rib extension has a nice pedal on the back of it. You can see the difference between the two. A nice pedal. The shape is still there, but it's not as raised up as it would be on this custom one. If you look at these 20 gauge receivers, this one's very similar to the 12 gauge we have here. A lot of the same features, 2 fences called fancy back on the side of it, rebates on top, a little bit of a larger pedal. But overall, these receivers are very similar in their shape. This is the receiver that I reshaped for my guild entry. What I've done is 3 beaded fences. The first beaded fence is on the receiver flat. The second one follows the barrel bars all the way up and around, and the third one starts here and goes all the way around to the top. I have them both the same. I have these beaded fences the same on both sides. I have a different type of rebate on top. I have a little bit more flowing fancy back on the sides, and the same rebate on the bottom as on the top. I've rounded out this area called the top strap. I rounded it out from what the factory looked like. I still have the rib extension pedal. I've put a custom safety on this gun, so the safety is a much different shape. I've also bent the tangs on this gun, so when you're stocking it, you have a better size on your comb nose. You don't want a very large comb nose. You want a very small, about a 1/2 inch comb nose. So when I bent these tangs, it makes the comb nose look better, but it also required me to re-drill these holes, build new screws. This whole tang was cut and welded, extended out, so I would have a hole to put the rear tang screw through. Triggers were reshaped, thinned down, shaped more for a right-handed shooter rather than the neutral triggers that they have. So the underbelly has been shaped, scalloped down. So this Fox that I'm going to be shaping for the client, he wants more of a traditional look, so we're only going to have one barrel band or beaded fence that goes all the way around. We're still going to reshape the flats, and we're still going to have a shadow line, and we'll have round rebates just like these two guns on top and bottom. He'll still get a custom safety, and we'll still reshape the rib extension pedal. But we will not put more than one bead coming up and around, and it will line up with this, which lines up with the barrel bars. First step of reshaping is we anneal the metal. Before we can do anything with the metal, it has to be annealed because the metal is actually hard, and we can't file on a hard surface. So, the receiver's been annealed, all of the scale has been removed from it, a few of the internals have been put back together. So we have our receiver. First thing that has to happen is we need to remove all of the engraving. So the Sterlingworth, all of the line engraving comes off. The only thing that remains is the serial number. So we'll pull all that engraving off, and then we'll start laying out for the different features that we're going to be putting into this receiver. So I'm just going to start filing away, and you can see how we start this process off. So what I've done is I've removed the engraving off both of the receiver flats. What I'm going to do is check both of these with my calipers. I want to see, it doesn't have to be perfectly flat, but I like things to be fairly flat within 10 to 20 thousandths. That way I don't have a huge taper on the receiver. So we're looking at about 1 inch, 757 thousandths at the back of the receiver. And then we're looking at 1 inch, 750 thousandths at the front. So I'm pretty flat this way, and both my sides are parallel. I like that. I have templates, because what I'm going to end up doing is I need to set this line and this line both at the same angle and both at the same location height-wise. I need to set this line and this overall shape be pretty much the same on both sides. So what I do is I'll make a template. I'll either make it out of paper, or if I want to go crazy, I'll make something out of brass. I'll have a template so it'll fit one side perfectly. I can flip the receiver over, scribe on my lines, and shape the other side of the receiver to that size. For my next steps, I'm going to be removing all of the engraving from the receiver, and I'm going to be shaping the barrel bars. I'm going to shape both of these barrel bars on this set of barrels. I'm going to shape the barrel bars on the other set of barrels. I'm going to do the forearm irons on both, because the forearm irons have a tiny little bar on them, and then that's going to tell me where my beaded fence is going to come up and around. That'll tell me the width and the height of the beaded fence, and that'll allow me to start shaping that all the way up and around to the top. So that's what we're looking forward to next time. I'll have all the engraving off of here for the next one, and I'll have the barrel bars mostly shaped. We might finish up shaping them in the video, and then we'll be ready to start shaping in the beaded fence.